Hi my beautiful bookish friends, I'm Bowen and welcome to my channel. This video is going to be my March wrap up. I honestly don't know whether I had like a good or a bad reading month in March, because while I still read the same amount of books that I did in February, the majority of those were novellas. And if you can see behind me, this is my TBR basket. It's still kind of very full. So I didn't really read all that much of what I set out to read, and I did also DNF 4 books, which I don't know whether or not that's a good thing or a bad thing, because DNFing is kind of new to me this year, and it's something that I'm trying to do more of. So I did achieve my goals, but I also didn't like the books. So we're going to start with the DNFs, I think. The first book that I did not finish is Filthy Games by Maya Gray. I stopped reading this one at 47%, so I didn't give it a rating. This is a novella that's 149 pages or something. The writing was not good. The editing was straight up fucking terrible. There were full lines that were repeated straight after one another, and you can tell that it wasn't meant to be like that. It's not repetitive for the sake of being repetitive and the type of storytelling. It's bad editing. The male main character was a complete asshole with no redeeming qualities, and I just couldn't with this book. The plus size representation, with the main character being as much of a doormat as she was, and all the fat phobia and everything, it was just too much, and I just could not get past it. It was driving me a little bit insane. So I just DNF'd it. The next book that I DNF'd was Under the Oak Tree, the novelized version, Volume 1 by Suji Kim. I stopped reading this at page 71. The first red flag for this one should have been the fact that it's 484 pages and only 11 chapters. I was in long chapter hell. Page 71 is the start of chapter 3. I read 2 chapters and I was done. This book is based on the Manta webcomic, and I've read a lot of the webcomic and I did really enjoy it. Apparently, I was delusional, because when I read the novelized version of it, there is 2, I don't want to even call it consensual non-consent, it was straight up SA. Twice, once in each of the first 2 chapters, and I just could not get past it. The female main character, Maxie, she's had so much shit from her family and also from her husband who assaults her. But I don't like books that go from non-consent to dubious consent to consent. That just, no. That feels too much like coercion. It makes me uncomfy, which is such a shame because I bought this copy and it's really cute. It's got this quote on it. It says, "The first moment I saw you, I knew you would ruin me." And it's got the foiling and a ribbon bookmark. Like, the book itself is beautiful. The inside, no, absolutely not. The next book that I did not finish is Feisty by Julia Kent. I stopped reading this one at 56% and I gave it a 2-star rating. Now, the synopsis for this one I found really, really misleading, because it's not that that doesn't happen. It's just that in the synopsis it says that her enemy is the one that she's going to be on a date with. It's not. He just happens to be at the same location as her date, and she thinks that her date is meant to be him. That's not the case. And also, this book, she's a primary school teacher, so her class is full of 4 and 5-year-olds. The very first chapter of this book is someone bringing a gun into the school and she takes them down. But the real reason that I DNF this book is because the female main character is just deeply, deeply spiritual, in a way that she's talking about her energies and levels and crystals. To each their own, and I'm not here to knock anyone that like truly does believe in that, but like in this book, I don't know whether or not it's the way it was done or the character herself, but it truly just made my eye twitch, and I wasn't here for it, so I just decided I wasn't going to finish it. I have also read book 1 in this series, and I gave that one 2 stars as well. So I just don't think either this author or this series is going to be for me. And the last book this month that I DNF'd was Single Dad's Bride by Melinda Minks. I stopped reading this one at 69% and I gave it a 1 star. With this book, every single character in this book pissed me off. The only 2 characters that didn't piss me off is because we didn't get enough of them, and that's his sister and his daughter. Everyone else I wanted to punch in the nose. This is meant to be like a best friend's brother romance, where he ends up getting married to her in order to be able to keep the kid, because his in-laws are trying to take the kid away from him, but so she can be a pageant princess, which the kid does not want at all. But for some reason, this female main character, who is deeply religious, doesn't quite wrap her head around the fact that this would help him keep the kid, because to her it's just ruining the sanctity of marriage because they don't love each other. And every single decision that she makes and every single thing that she has, she's got to stick up her arse so fucking far. You can see it when she speaks. And she's one of those religious type of people that is just really judgy to everyone that doesn't have the same beliefs as her, and that just grinds my fucking gears so much. I fucking hate it. He is also a piece of shit because this is his sister's best friend, who he's never really seen as anything other than the annoying brat until he has to marry her in order to keep his daughter, at which point he finally starts seeing her as a woman. Ew. The decision to tell the 6-year-old daughter that the marriage is fake was fucking lost on me. Like, why would you tell the kid that? Kids will blurt out fucking anything. I understand not wanting to keep secrets from your kids, whatever. Why would you tell them that? That just is a bad idea. Both sets of parents, both hers and his in-laws, are misogynistic as fuck. Like, her parents want her to be a gold digger, and they're just really happy that her new husband has a lot of money. Okay. And his in-laws are like, you need a wife to be able to raise a child. Like he hasn't been doing that for fucking years. Not to mention all of the spelling and grammar mistakes, which I can normally look past, but with everything else, I just couldn't get past it, and it was driving me mad, and I just had to stop for the sake of my own sanity before I threw my Kindle across the room and broke it. I like my Kindle. I didn't want to do that to myself. Now we're getting into the books that I actually did finish this month. I'm going to go from the longest to the shortest, so all of the novellas are going to be at the end. Now this one at the start is kind of one where, in theory, it's the longest, but it's also 2 books, and that's Lola and the Millionaires Part 1 and Lola and the Millionaires Part 2. Both of these are by Catherine Moon. I gave them both a 3.75. This one I gave a 4 spice rating. This one I gave a 5. This is an Omegaverse, not a shifter Omegaverse, just an alternate human Omegaverse, where the biologies are a little bit different. Now, I do think before you read these, you do kind of have to read Baby and the Late Night Howlers first to just get a little bit more of Lola's backstory. I honestly thought that there would be more of a cliffhanger after Part 1 before you go into Part 2, and there isn't. I do like the big climactic scene at the end of Part 2, though. The way that was done was really good and really interesting, because Part 1 is basically them all getting to know each other and Lola learning to trust them after she went through something really quite traumatic. I will say that with this series in particular, the fact that there's 7 main characters is a fucking lot. So trying to keep them all straight in my head was kind of difficult. I do like that we get a lot of her friendship with Baby as well, who is the main character in book 1. I did really love seeing Lola's growth as a character from the start of book 1, where she's really traumatized, to her literally beating her demons at the end of book 2. I can honestly say I will never listen to the song Copacabana ever again in the same way, because it just sounds creepy to me now. Copacabana. The tropes for this series are going to be Omegaverse, millionaire, why choose, age gap, workplace, found family, no third act breakup, and mild spoiler for this one, it also has the kidnapping trope in it. Then I listened to the audiobook for Daughter of No Worlds by Carissa Broadbent. I gave this one a 4.25 and a 1 spice rating. I do really enjoy a fantasy book that's just so easy to sink into without being needlessly complicated, that uses a lot of brain power, which is why I don't read as much fantasy as I used to. But this was really easy to follow. The magic was really well explained. I listened to this one on audio, and I did really appreciate the fact that the female main character is from a different nation, so the language barrier is very prominent. And with the audiobook, when she's trying to speak in the native language of the place that she ends up going to, the accent that she puts on reminds me a lot of my Eastern European friends, and that was just really comforting to me for some reason. Our female main character, Tasana, is headstrong, she's badass, she's stubborn, and her and Max working together and him teaching her how to use her magic was just really sweet, and watching them learn to grow and trust and love each other, it was beautiful. Max, or Max Antarius, going from like the grumpy recluse who is really traumatized to going to her fiercest ally was so beautiful. The writing in this was really, really good. There was so much of this that I wanted to annotate, and I'm really looking forward to getting to the rest of this series. The tropes for this one are magic, chosen one, and student teacher. Next book is going to be Finale by Stephanie Garber. I gave this one a 3.25. I read this one in my Fairy Loot reading vlog, so if you haven't watched that, I will link it in the description down below. So obviously this one is the Fairy Loot edition. This is the last one in the trilogy, if you couldn't tell by the name of it being Finale. And to be fair, I didn't really love this series, especially this one. This one has both of the sisters getting into different love triangles, and I don't care for it. Especially when there's a love triangle where there's a really obvious right answer. The love triangles in this were pointless, because you've spent the last 2 books, one for each of the sisters, having them build a relationship with one specific character, only to throw in a love triangle in the last book. That's dumb. That's real dumb. The quote-unquote magic of love was really cliche and cringy, and I didn't like that at all. I do like the fact that we get both of the sisters in this last book, but I feel like Scarlet's plotline was sort of unnecessary. It's more just Donatella's story carrying on, and I feel like everything with like the main villain did wrap up far too easily and far too conveniently. I'm not a fan of this series, which makes me really sad. The tropes I gave for this one are magic, family saga, and love triangle. Next we have Every Version of You by Sloane Spencer. I gave this one a 4.5 and a 4 spice rating. Honestly, this book was more than I was expecting it to be, and I was living for it. I got this on a Stuff Your Kindle day, and pretty much as soon as I got it, I immediately picked it up, read it, loved it. This book is following two best friends that get really drunk and hook up, but they don't remember hooking up. But she ends up pregnant, and she's not slept with anyone else, but it has to be him because she's not been in proximity to anyone else. And as is the case with a lot of pregnant people, their hormones get kind of out of control, and they get to a certain point in the pregnancy where they just get really fucking horny. And he is more than willing to be there to scratch her itch, you know, since he has to take care of her anyway, because it's his kid. He's going to take care of her in every way. And these two friends also are very into roleplay, so they do that a lot. So the list of trigger warnings at the start really did kind of put me on the back foot a little bit, like, how are they going to do this? This is meant to be a really cute friends to lovers type story. What do you mean, this list? That list is pretty much solely in the use of roleplay. I do like the fact that both Angela and Raphael were so silly and goofy together. I mean, they could be serious when they needed to be, but they just always had a laugh with each other, and they bounced off each other so well. Raphael really needed to get over his daddy issues, you know, since he's going to be a father himself. And not only does he change, he actually puts in the work to continuously get better, and I love that. There's also a lot in this book about Raphael's Mexican heritage and his bisexuality, and it doesn't feel like it's ticking a box for representation. It flows really seamlessly into the story, which I really appreciated. I really, really love this book. I can't wait to pick up more books by this author. The tropes for this one are friends to lovers, pregnancy, plus size, and sports, because he is a rugby player. Next we have Captive of the Horde King by Zoe Draven. This one I gave a 3.75 and a 3 spice rating. At the start of this book, the lack of communication between the two main characters was really getting on my nerves, but the slow build of their relationship just kind of all brought it together in the end for me. Luna basically sells herself off to the Horde King in order to save her brother's life, because he does something that is very, very against the law. He gets caught, and she's there like, take me instead. So the Horde King does. And she learns to assimilate with his clan and his pack, but she is very, very wary of them at the start, because one of the beasts that they ride on that's like a horse hippo? I'm not actually sure, but like in my head it's like a horse hippo. Killed her mum. So she's very wary around these people, these creatures, everything. So she's very much doesn't want to, but she will do anything to take care of her brother because that was her mother's dying wish. But when she is taken to this clan, they try and treat her really well. They try and feed her and clothe her and everything, but she's used to having the bare minimum. There's no food or anything, and she's used to going hungry, so her brother can eat. So when she is given food to eat that is more than she's ever had, she refuses it because she basically has survivor's guilt. And she believes that she is going to be one of his harem, basically. But that's just not how they work. She is going to be his queen instead. I do respect how stubborn Luna is, but she does kind of go about it the wrong way, I would say. But I do like that she apologizes when she fucks up. She works hard and she becomes a part of the clan. I do wish that we had got the guy's point of view as well. Overall, I still really like Zoe Draven's books. The tropes for this one are aliens, royalty, because he's a Horde King, no third act breakup, and kidnapping. Sort of. I mean, she sacrifices herself, but he does kind of take her somewhat against her will. I don't know, but I put it as kidnapping anyway. Next we have The Virgin Next Door by Lauren Blakely. I gave this one a 3.75 and a 2 spice rating. What this book had by the absolute truckload was banter. This had me absolutely cackling out loud with the banter between these characters, and I fucking loved it. But there were a couple of little things, because I'm a persnickety bitch, that really did kind of get on my nerves just a little bit. First of all, the title. This book is set in New York, and I would say for the span of New York, they do live next door to each other. They don't. They live like on the same block. and she signs her column, Your Friendly Neighborhood Virgin, but I don't think that they do live next door to each other. Next, there's the whole virgin thing. I do like the fact that while she's never had sex, she's not completely oblivious about it, and she does talk about it a lot. And while I get that it's kind of a social construct and everything, I feel like it was definitely warranted a conversation between her and Milo, and it was just never happened. It was just sort of glossed over, which annoyed me, to be honest. Also, for a story that talks so much about sex, there's not actually a lot of it in here. Like, they talk about it, but they don't do it. And the last thing that kind of gets on my nerves is his ex. He has a lot of issues when it comes to relationships because of his ex, as is the case with a lot of people, right? I get that. The ex coming back did seem really stupid and out of place. There was no resolution to that at all. It was just there to facilitate the third act breakup, which might be mildly spoilery, and for that, I'm sorry, but also, her coming back was dumb. Okay, like, there could have been anything else that triggered the third act breakup. Why did they need to bring the ex back? That was stupid. So as much as those things did get on my nerves, banter will just get you a long way with me. I don't know what to tell you. The tropes for this one are hidden identity, neighbours, pet, and workplace. Next we have Shameless Puck Boy by Eden Finley and Saxon James. I gave this one a 4.25 and a 4 spice rating. Between Lane's savvy complex and Oscar's pretty privilege, this had the opportunity to be like a really one-sided relationship. And it sort of was, but I'm kind of okay with it. Oscar gets away with a lot because he's really good looking and he's never in one place for too long between his NFL trades and him being a military brat. And because he's not in one place for too long, no one really takes the time to get to know him outside of his cocky, flirty, brash personality. No one takes the time to look deeper because he never gives them a chance to until he's stuck with Lane. Because he may or may not try and have a threesome in an alley and gets caught on camera, and he's an NHL player. So the PR representative, Lane, is now stuck babysitting him. Now, what Oscar really needs is a therapist, which Lane is not, but he does open up to Lane and they get closer because of it. And because of all of Oscar's privilege, he hasn't got really much of a sense of how his actions affect others. Like, if he keeps being a brat and trying to sneak out and do whatever the fuck he wants to do, that's also going to jeopardize not only his career, but Lane's career as well. But Oscar's growth in this was so beautiful, and the way that Lane supports his exhibitionist kink without actually having him get caught is really sweet and fun, and I really enjoyed this one. This is a series that I just love. It's not my favourite in the series, but it's also not my least favourite in the series, and this author duo just work for me. I can't explain it. I love this series so much. The tropes for this one are sports, workplace, forced proximity, and roommates. Next we have How to Catch a Bachelor by Anna Ashley. I gave this one a 4-star and a 2 spice rating. Now, while I did really enjoy this book, there is one thing that really did kind of get on my nerves, and that's the fact that in the synopsis, there is a major plot point that happens, and it doesn't happen until the 70% mark. Why are we putting essentially spoilers in the synopsis? Everything in the synopsis should happen before the 50% mark. The fact that that doesn't happen until 70% in really kind of threw me off, because I was kind of waiting for it, and then it happened. I was like, why are we this far in when that plot point happens? Indian tape match on this app, they go to hook up, but when they meet at this bar, Indy mistakes Tate for his twin brother that's engaged to his best friend. So Indy calls him out, slaps him around the face, and storms off before Tate can really explain himself. Because they're both best man at this wedding, they're around each other a lot, and a lot of this is them getting to know each other, but I really enjoyed this one. This one wasn't as high stakes as the last 2 books in this series. This is more getting to where we were in book 1, and I much preferred that, if I'm honest. The tropes for this one are found family and small town. Next we have Sleepy as a Koala by T.S. Snow. I gave this one a 3.5 and a 3 spice rating. This book is a why choose shifter romance, and each of them shift into different animals. So we have a koala shifter, a moose shifter, a dog shifter, and a hedgehog shifter. I met this author when I was at Rare, and that honestly just sounded the most fucking ridiculous, so obviously I had to get it. I obviously didn't say to her face that that sounded ridiculous, gimme, but that was definitely the thought that went through my head. I do wish that it did play into how fucking ridiculous it was, though. I do like the fact that the koala, who is our female main character, Addie, puts the hedgehog into her pouch. Because I don't know why, but I found that really fucking cute. So the hedgehog is Liam, Owen is the dog, and Ethan is the moose. Now, Addie and Liam were friends when they were kids, and Liam has always known that Addie, his friend from childhood, was his bonded soulmate. But he lost touch with her when he had to move, and he's not been able to find her again. Now, all three of the guys have this company, and when Owen runs into Addie, he goes on a date with her. They don't get off with the right foot, because he does basically chase her up a tree, and his dog thought they were playing, and she was genuinely like, don't just randomly start chasing strangers. I know you're a dog, but calm down. But they do end up going on a date, and then she meets Ethan, and then she gets reacquainted with Liam as well. We do get a lot of her and Liam's backstory, but I feel like he was sort of the forgotten one out of the three guys. A lot of it is to do with her and Owen or her and Ethan, and I feel like Liam just got forgotten a little bit. Like, for example, the only group scene we get is with Ethan and Owen, and Liam's just not there. I get that it's fated mates, but I do feel like the I love you came really quickly. It was just sort of okay. It wasn't exactly a well-developed story, but it was definitely one of those ones that I just wanted in the moment. I do wish we'd have got more from, like, the best friend character, or the best friend character had her own story, but I don't think there is one. This is part of a series, but I don't think she has her own story. The tropes for this one are insta-love, shifter, why choose, and fated mates. Next, we have another shifter romance, and that is Hot Wolf in the City by Honey Phillips. I gave this one a 3-star and a 2 spice rating. This had all the potential to be something that I would really enjoy, but honestly, it just felt flat. I don't know why I keep reading Honey Phillips books, because I just give them 3 stars. Like, they're just kind of okay, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Honey Phillips books. Why? For what reason? This book follows Julie and Derek, and Julie was in a relationship with her boss in her last job, and now she's come to this new job and she has feelings for her boss again. But Derek's just a little bit different, because he's a shifter. Like, it wasn't bad by any means, it was just giving absolutely fucking nothing. I should like it, I just really, really don't care. And I've already forgotten every single thing that happened in this, and my review that I wrote is also giving nothing, because I closed the last page of this book and it exited my brain. Sometimes books be like that. The tropes for this one are assistant, workplace, shifter, and plus size. Next we have Tentacles and Teeth by Rowan Merrick. This one I gave a 4-star and a 4 spice rating. This book follows Katarina, who is our human main character, Sid, who is our shadow fae, and Fen, who is our wolf shifter. This is the first time that I've read an FFM shifter romance. Sid is strictly for the girls only, and her and Fen are best friends, but they've never been attracted to each other because, again, she be gay. But Katarina, our human main character, is pansexual, bisexual, I don't think it says specifically, but she's attracted to any and all. And she's at this club one night, and Sid is the bartender. This creep is hitting on her, and she's trying to tell him no, and he thinks it's all part of the game. And Sid basically tells him to back the fuck off. And her and Sid go home together, but Sid and Fen also live together, so he is also very intrigued by this human that she's brought home. Sid's shadow tentacles were a lot of fun, and I do like the fact that Katarina does fully own her sexuality and she's not afraid to ask for what she wants. I do feel like Katarina and Sid had more of an emotional budding relationship, whereas Fen was only sexually attracted to her. But because I was so invested in the relationship between the two women, I don't understand why the guy was there. Like, why did we need to have a guy involved at all? I mean, the things that she can do with her shadow tentacles, you don't really need a guy there at all. Just saying. Because we don't get a lot of Fen's perspective. There's a whole rant that he goes on about work, and I just genuinely could not fucking care less. But I don't know whether or not he wants to date her, or whether it's just physical, or what his intentions are. We know what Sid's intentions are, she makes that very fucking clear. But I don't understand why Fen is here. The tropes for this one are plus size, fae, shifter, and why choose. Next we have A Gargoyle Gripe by Sabrina Cassidy. I gave this one a 3.75 and a 2 spice rating. This one is set in the same world as Hot Wolf in the City. This book follows Evie and Drake, and Evie is a baker, and while some people bake with love, Evie bakes with magic, and she puts her intentions into it, and it kind of feeds into the actual things that she bakes. So when her gargoyle crush comes in, she puts her intentions into this for him to only have good things and him to be happy, and that ends up creating this mating bond between the two of them. So now they have to be in proximity to each other pretty much at all times, otherwise it causes them immense amounts of pain. Like when he tries to leave the shop, she faints. Drake was scarred and sweet and kind of broody. The villain main character in this was so obvious, it was painful, but her and Drake were just so cute together. I loved their relationship. This was just, quite frankly, freaking adorable. The tropes for this one are monster, magic, and forced proximity. I didn't put it as fated mates because it's not fated, it's a magic bond, not a fated bond. Next we have How Not to Date a Demon by Lana Cole. I gave this one a 4-star and a 3 spice rating. This book doesn't follow the traditional romance format because at the start of this book, the couple is already together. It does show a little bit of how they got together in flashbacks, but for the most part, this follows them already being in a relationship and already live together. Galen is absolutely, completely besotted by Maeve, but he is hiding a pretty big secret, and Maeve is determined to find out what this secret is, so she sets little traps for him. I mean, this could have been solved pretty quickly if they'd have just had a conversation, so it is sort of miscommunication, but it was done in a very fun way, so you know what, I don't even mind. Because how exactly would you bring up to your partner that you don't think they're human? That's a conversation that's going to be a very difficult one to come out. So she tries to catch him out with it, because she keeps finding his ripped shirts that are always ripped in the same place. The dogs that he brought home have red eyes in the middle of the night. She wakes up in the middle of the night and he's just not there. Something's off. I do wish we got more chapters from his point of view, but I really did enjoy this. This was a lot of fun. This was my first book by this author, and I cannot wait to get to more. The tropes for this one are demons and pets. Next we have Fake Dating the Defenseman Next Door by Coco Elliott. I gave this one a 3.25 and a 1 spice rating. My main issue with this book is the pacing. It moves really quickly. The first kiss, for example, basically comes out of left field. This book follows Diego and Angela, and Diego is a hockey player who attributes most of his wins to these donuts and this donut shop that he has been going to ever since he was younger. But the donut shop is shut down for refurbishment, but he knows the owner, so he spends a lot of time with this elderly woman that owns this donut shop. And her granddaughter is the one that comes down to kind of reopen it, refurbish it, and everything, since the elderly woman can't do it anymore, so she's going to be running the donut shop in the interim. While the donut shop is shut for refurbishment, he is not winning any of his hockey games. Because sports players are nothing if not superstitious, he keeps badgering the granddaughter, Angela, in order to make him some donuts so he can keep winning his job. But he also has a massive crush on her. But because she's a bigger girl, she doesn't think that he could be into her like that. So she sort of blew him off a little bit. I did get a new ick with this one though. The word cream used in a sex scene when he's that obsessed with donuts, it just feels a little bit too on the nose. This was just okay. It didn't really do anything. I don't really recommend it. It was just fine. The tropes of this one are sports, plus size, fake dating, and neighbours. Next we have Curvy Love by D. James. I gave this one a 2.5 and a 1 spice rating. Sarah, who is our female main character, says the fact that she is plus size is the reason why she doesn't get any dates and why no one is romantically interested in her. I think his name is Gautam. I could be absolutely butchering that. But anytime he pulled away because he has his own specific set of trauma, she would basically go, "It's 'cause I'm fat, isn't it?" Girl, calm down. I got really tedious really quickly. Like, it was so annoying. The pacing itself of the book was really weird. In this novella, there was more attention paid to his sister's story than there was between the relationship in the couple themselves. Honestly, it's a good thing this was so short, because I don't think I could have tolerated any more of this book. The tropes for this one are plus size and friends to lovers. Next, we have a St. Patrick's Day novella, which, yes, I did read on St. Paddy's Day, and that is The Four Leaf by Alicia Cott. I gave this one a 4-star and a 3 spice rating. This book follows Adrian and Sam, and Adrian has had a thing for Sam for pretty much their whole lives. and their whole friendship, but because of the nickname that he has given her, she doesn't think that he is into her because he refers to her as Stinky Sam. And I can kind of get why you wouldn't think that someone that calls you Stinky is attracted to you, but apparently he likes the way that she smells and can smell her fear because he's really into primal kink and he wants to chase her through the woods. Very, very big on the game hide and seek and tag. And because he can smell her fear and everything, it was kind of giving Shifter vibes. It's not, but it was just a little weird in a contemporary, to be honest. And also the fact that I read like 3 or 4 books this month that all have primal kink in them was not on purpose. I feel like I do have to state that I did not do that shit on purpose, but it is weird that I read so many books this month that have primal kink in them. That's just bizarre. But I'm not mad about it, because I do really enjoy these books. I love that they're friends already, so in a novella, 9 times out of 10, it feels really insta-love, but because in this series, they already know each other before the book starts, I love that. It's not my favourite in the series, but I did have a good time with this. The tropes for this one are friends to lovers and holiday, because it's set on St. Patrick's Day. Next we have Winning Logan by Tilly Tate. This one I gave a 3.5 and a 2 spice rating. This book follows Chelsea and Logan, and Chelsea is planning the bachelor auction at her family's hotel. Her mother normally does it, but her mother's stepped back and letting her do it this year, and Logan is someone that she's become really good friends with because he is working at the hotel too. He is freelance work. He is kind of extending the jobs a little bit in order to spend more time with her, but when he ends up having to sign up for the auction, he begs her to be the one that bids on him so that he can escape the other person that wants to bid on him. And honestly, for this being an 80-page novella, there is a lot happening in this. I feel like this is just doing too much for it being so short. There's a miscommunication in this that is forgiven before it's really truly explained. And then any reservations that she had that was putting her off from being with him just poof, magically vanish. Like, there was so much of this that wasn't explained. When he was coming clean about everything that was going on with him, there was a perfect opening for her to explain what was going on with her and her ex and what happened there, and we just never got it. And when they did get together, I feel like the I love you happened so fucking soon, which is a problem I have quite a lot in novellas. And I get it, but I hate it. This either needed to be more, as in longer, or just do fucking less, because there was just too much happening for this being so short. The tropes for this one are plus size and love at first sight. And the last book I read this month is Only a Rake Will Do by Christina Diane. This one I gave a 2.75 and a 2 spice rating. This is the shortest book I read this month. I read this instead of taking a nap. I should have taken the nap. It's not that it was bad, it was just bland. It was just dry bread. The female main character honestly was kind of annoying. I get that she's 18 and it's historical fiction and everything, but she's got this idea of what type of man she wants to marry, and she wants to marry a rake because her sisters have said that the best type of husband is a rake, so she's got it in her head that she basically wants to marry a rake, which is a historical term for fuckboy. It just came across like a silly girl holding on to very childish ideals, because her friend Arthur, who she's seen a couple of times around, she thinks that he's really attractive, but he's not a rake, so she's kind of dismissed him out of hand, but he's been into her for a very long time. But because they're friends, they start to hang out a little bit more, and she tells him the criteria that she's looking for. He basically is like, well, it doesn't need to be someone who sleeps around a lot for him to know what the fuck he's doing, and for him to be passionate, let me prove it. Because all this time he's been trying to be the perfect gentleman, and that's just not the type of guy that she wants. So he shows her the other side of him. I did really like Arthur, I just didn't like her. She got on my nerves. Everything else about this was just kind of bland and dry, and I didn't care. And the tropes for this one were friends to lovers. So that's all the books that I read in the month of March. Clearly, I barely touched the TBR basket. So let's go through what is left on the TBR basket. We have Using Feiho. I put this new edition that I got in the TBR basket. I also didn't get to this one. I have a plan for this one, and I just didn't get to it, because I did want to read The Right Move first. This has been in my TBR basket all fucking year, and I still haven't got to it. I said I was reading this for a video. Have I done a single fucking thing for that video that I said I was reading this for? Evidently fucking not. I need to get to this one. I've been putting it off for too fucking long. I said I was going to do it. Clearly I'm not a woman of my word. I also didn't read The Undermining of Twyla and Frank. I just was never really in the mood to pick this one up. I also didn't read The Fake Out by Stephanie Archer. I really do want to get to this one, but apparently March was just not the time. And the last thing in the TBR basket was The Scarlet Veil by Shelby Mahurin. I wanted to read this one so I could be prepared for when the sequel comes out for pre-order, because this is the special edition. I don't think I got the email saying the pre-order was available for the sequel, so I'm not sure when the sequel for this one comes out. So, we are going to top up the TBR basket. I will say that for the month of April, I do want to read longer books on my TBR. So I did a month where I read quite a lot of novellas. Now I want to read some of the longer books, like 500 page plus. So we're going to start with Lyric in the Heartbeats by Lana Cole. Since I did read a Lana Cole book in March, I do want to pick up more of her work, and this is the next book in the Sweet Verse series, which is following on from Lola and the Millionaires. I think it's just set in the same world, because I don't think we meet any of the characters in Lola and the Millionaires. I do want to pick up this one. Into the basket it goes. The next book going in the TBR basket is also very chunky, and that is A Soul to Guide by Opal Rain. This is the fourth book in the Dustwalker Bride series. It's not the longest one in the series, but it is the next one on my list. So we're going in order, so A Soul to Guide is next. The last book in this series is nearly 1,000 pages. That's going to be a thing, but we're not there yet. This one is also staying in the TBR basket because, quite frankly, this is staying in the TBR basket till I fucking read it. And to be fair, it is very, very nearly 500 pages. It is 496. This one is also staying in the TBR basket. I also have potentially the longest romance book on my TBR, which is Pucking Around by Emily Rath. This one, I have to read the novella first before I pick up this one. Have you seen, like, look at this. This is insane. This is 707 pages in a romance book. Like, I get that it's a Why Choose Hockey romance and you need that time to develop all of the characters, but, like, that is intimidating as shit. I might get to this one. Might. I'm also going to put some books into the TBR basket that I bought this year, because I feel like that's enough big books. So we're going to put some regular size ones in the TBR basket, starting with The Slowest Burn. This one is a celebrity chef and a cookbook ghostwriter story, and the cover is cute. That's it. That's why it's going in the basket. I'm also going to put this one in. This is Truth or Beard by Penny Reed. I do like the red plaid of it, and it has red sprayed edges, but I've just done a little flick through and there's like artwork in it as well, just of the two main characters, and there's like a whole family tree and everything. I don't know why. There's pictures of the main characters in the book as well. I'm not mad about it, so I am going to read it. And I'm also going to pick up Out of the Woods by Hannah Bonham Young. This edition is fucking stunning, and I love Hannah Bonham Young's other books, so I'm really hoping I'm going to love this one too. This is the companion novel to Out on a Limb. So Out on a Limb follows Win and Bo, and this book follows their best friends, Caleb and Sarah, who are high school sweethearts. So this one's a marriage in trouble book, and I really, really hope I love this as well. So this is what my TBR basket for April looks like. Honestly, this is kind of intimidating because of how long some of the books in here are. I'm not 100% sure I'm going to get to Pucking Around, quite simply because of how fucking long it is, and also because I do have another Why Choose book in here. We'll see. I'm hopeful, but I'm not optimistic, considering how bad last month went on my TBR basket. So if you managed to get this far into the video, then leave me a person running emoji for all of the Primal Kink books that I read this month. But for now, thank you so much for stopping by. It has been lovely having you here, and I hope to see you in another video coming very soon. Bye.